Somewhere along the way, silence started feeling illegal. Not boring, not uncomfortable, illegal. Like every empty second had to be filled before your own mind could get there. So the day began before you did. Before your feet touched the floor, your thumb had already gone looking for relief. Before your first thought could finish forming, something louder arrived. A message, a clip, a headline. A tiny hit of urgency dressed up as importance. And because it happened slowly, you never called it loss. You called it normal. But here is what was actually happening. Your mind was getting trained by interruption. When people switch away from unfinished tasks, part of their attention often stays attached to the old one. In the literature, that lingering carryover is called attention residue, an ordinary task. Switching itself has measurable cognitive costs. So by the time morning arrived, you were already spread across 6 unfinished places. You didn't stop thinking. You stopped finishing thoughts. That was the change. You could still answer messages, still show up, still smile in the right places, still tell yourself you were just busy, but your life started breaking into fragments. Half a thought, half a task, half a conversation, half a memory of why you opened the app in the first place. And the worst part was how ordinary it looked. Because modern distraction rarely looks like collapse. It looks like functioning. It looks like making coffee while skimming headlines. It looks like listening to a podcast while checking a message, while refreshing an email, while pretending you're still inside the original task. It looks like a person whose body is in one room and whose attention is subcontracted to 10 others. The research on habitual media multitasking is not perfectly unanimous, but recent and classic studies point in the same unsettling direction. Heavier media multitasking is linked with more attentional errors, more mind wandering, poorer sustained attention, and weaker inhibitory control. One 2024 study also found more mind wandering without awareness, which is somehow even worse because now attention is leaving. And you don't even catch it in the act. That is why this feeling is so hard to name. You were not dramatically failing. You were quietly becoming unavailable. Unavailable to depth. Unavailable to stillness. Unavailable to the long, uninterrupted stretch of mind required to feel intelligent inside your own life. And then the checks became automatic. Not because the phone was magical. Not because your willpower was broken. Because relevant, uncertain cues are good at training reward-seeking systems. Reward learning depends on prediction and surprise. Variable and uncertain rewards are especially potent, and social media behavior itself has been modeled successfully as reward learning. So now you are no longer only using the device, you are anticipating it, waiting for the next cue before you even realize you were waiting. A buzz, a banner, a red dot, a maybe, and little by little your attention begins to live on the edge of interruption. That is important because the strongest evidence here is not simply a phone nearby destroys your brain. A large 2024 meta-analysis found no reliable overall cognitive effect from the mere presence of a smartphone alone. The more robust pattern is about cues, interruptions, and habitual checking. One recent study found that a social media-style notification could slow cognitive processing for about 7 seconds, and that the disruption scaled more with relevance and interaction frequency than with total screen time. A diary study similarly found that smartphone checking predicted more daily cognitive failures, whereas total screen time did not. So no. Your brain was not tired because you were weak. It was tired because it kept having to restart, again and again and again. Then one day, something worse than tiredness appears. Recognition. Not the kind that fixes you, the kind that corners you. You look up for a second and realize how much life was passed through, but not fully lived. Weeks gone, then months, then versions of yourself you vaguely remember wanting to become. And suddenly the problem is no longer I can't focus. The problem becomes I haven't heard my own mind clearly in a very long time. That is when silence feels unbearable. And to be fair, humans have always had a strange relationship with being alone with their thoughts. In a famous set of experiments, many people found a brief stretch of undistracted thinking more difficult than they expected. And some even preferred unpleasant stimulation over just sitting there. But there is another side to that story. Self-generated thought is not just useless drift. Mind wandering is often future-focused, and research on autobiographical planning suggests that the same broad systems involved in self-generated thought and the default mode network help support memory, self-reflection, and building plans for your own future. So in every waiting room, every walk, every elevator, every idle 10 seconds gets colonized by input, you are not only killing boredom, you are evicting rehearsal space. The place where your mind used to stitch together memory, meaning, and possibility. That is why the loss feels larger than productivity. This was never just about getting more done. It was about becoming emotionally unavailable to your own future. You could feel it, the strange flatness, the reduced imagination, the difficulty picturing a life that felt beautiful, distinct, worth stepping into. Not because you lost ambition, because your inner world was never empty enough to echo. Clarity did not return like lightning. It returned like circulation, slowly, painfully, in places that had gone numb. At first, it was almost disappointing. No cinematic breakthrough, no heroic new identity, no sudden immunity to temptation, just friction. The awkwardness of not reaching, the discomfort of not filling, the small embarrassment of discovering that 40 empty seconds felt too long to remain inside your own head. So, you stopped trying to become a new person, and you started protecting a few inches of mental space. A phone left in another room during breakfast, a walk with no soundtrack, one task before opening the next, a conversation where your body and your attention arrived together. Even sleep had to be re-earned. Not every minute of evening screen time is equal, but recent studies suggest that once screens come into bed, especially when the activity is interactive or multitasked, sleep gets pushed later and shortened, and sleep deprivation itself reliably damages vigilant attention. So you began making the night less crowded. Dimmer room, face-down screen, sometimes no screen at all. And then something quietly supernatural happened. Time changed texture, not objectively, emotionally. Mornings stopped feeling like a trapdoor. A chair in sunlight became a place instead of a delay. A page became readable again. A thought became finishable again. Ordinary life, which had looked so flat under constant stimulation, started regaining contour. Rain sounded like rain again. Coffee smelled specific again. A sentence could hold you long enough to change you. The world had not become more magical. You had become available to it. This is the part people usually get wrong. They think the fork in the road is between failure and success. It isn't. It is between reaction and presence. One life remains externally activated, always prompted, always interrupted, always slightly late to itself. The other life is not easier. It is just inhabited. One version of you keeps living in fragments, alert, informed, stimulated, and somehow less and less alive inside your own hours. The other begins to feel a continuity forming. That matters more than it sounds. Psychologists call it future self-continuity, the degree to which the person you will become feels like you instead of a stranger. Across this literature, people who feel more connected to their future selves tend to make more long-term decisions with that future in mind. And experiments that heighten that connection can nudge healthier behavior, including more exercise. Which means the battle was never only against distraction. It was against estrangement. You were not just losing focus. You were losing contact with the person those quiet choices were supposed to protect. And the moment that person stops feeling imaginary, discipline changes shape. It stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like loyalty, not to achievement, to continuity. To the simple possibility that your life still deserves a mind that is actually there for it. Maybe the scariest part of brain fog was never the tiredness. It was amnesia, forgetting what it felt like to have a mind that could land, to read without skidding, to listen without splitting, to sit in a room without immediately escaping it, to feel a future and not just fear one. Maybe that is what clarity really is. Not becoming superhuman, not becoming hyperproductive, not becoming some flawless version of yourself who never struggles, just becoming reachable again. Reachable to your own thoughts, reachable to beauty, reachable to the slow intelligence of your own life. Because your attention was never only a tool, it was the door. And one day you will realize the world did not become empty when the noise left. It became visible. And if you are very quiet, right at the edge of a new morning, you can feel it, your life returning to you.
One undistracted moment at a time.